Hello, 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 my lovelies, and welcome to my new series, which I'm going to be calling Siblings. What the heck happened? In this series, I will be taking you through different sibling roles in the narcissistic family and how that sibling might be affected and how they might turn out based on their age, their gender, the place that they were born in the family, and the preferences of the narcissistic parents that run the whole system. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm EB. I'm an NLPMP and survivor of 2 decades of narcissistic abuse, and I also grew up in a 3-sibling household of a narcissistic family. So that's why today I wanted to get started with the role that I know best. The youngest sibling. The youngest. You know, the ones that you guys have been hating on the most in the comments. Now, despite some very biased opinions from elder children in my comments, being born the youngest in the narcissistic family is one of the hardest roles to be born in, and that's why we're starting here. Now, I can already hear a bunch of eldest children groaning at this video. They're probably flicking it over, right? They're going, no, the baby gets all the love. The baby gets all the attention. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. And here's why. In a narcissistic household, the youngest basically falls into 2 roles. They can be favored if they come from a family of people who prefer babies, right? Which is really, really common. You'll see this in narcissistic families. Babies, while they are babies, while they are dolls still, while they don't have their own individual personalities, they can't speak up for themselves, they're adored by the narcissist because they can be completely controlled by the narcissist and they still exist in the fantasy of the narcissistic parent, right? When that baby is just a lump, is just a baby, is not talking, is not living, is not doing yet, then the narcissistic parent can still visualize all the things they're going to do and be and how great they're going to look and how good they're going to be in school and the big fancy job and family they're going to have. But as soon as that youngest sibling starts talking, things change. This is generally when the youngest starts taking on the role of scapegoat in the family, not just from the narcissistic parent, but from siblings and other family members as well. And despite what the internet has told you, that scapegoats are the truth tellers, the pattern breakers, the cycle breakers, that's not necessarily true, especially for the youngest sibling. The youngest sibling gets put in a scapegoat role. They get blamed and emotionally turned into a dumping ground by their parents and their siblings and anyone else in the family because they are the weakest. Especially true if the youngest sibling is separated by a lot of years, right? When you're 8 years old, you can't really emotionally defend yourself against a 13-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old. So it's easier to make the youngest the emotional punching bag because they don't have the skills, the tools, the communication, any of those things that they need to protect themselves. Now, here's where it also gets interesting / tricky for the youngest. As they grow up, they have distance and space to witness what's happening in the family. And some of them will jump on board, right? Some of them will just jump on board. They'll play along. They'll do anything they can to become the favorite of the narcissist and therefore safe in the system and safe from their siblings. And that's an option that many choose because as the youngest sibling, you're never really viewed as a full, equal member of the family, not by your siblings and not by your parents. See, many youngest siblings in a narcissistic family get stuck in this you're the baby loop, where everyone in the family thinks they have a right to tell them how to feel, how to act, what they should do with their life. But the youngest, their voice, their opinions, their genuine desires are never really listened to. They're always just like, oh, you're a kid. That can take a toll on the sibling as well. If you're a sibling in a narcissistic family who is being babyfied, always treated as though you're the weakest, the baby, the one who just isn't going to get it, who needs to be managed or controlled, some will lean into that. Some will lean into that, which is a cozy place for someone with covert narcissistic tendencies. Everything else is everyone else's fault. I'm the baby. You guys all take care of it. But some, like me, rebel against that. We know that we are equal members of the family, and if we don't get treated that way, the breaks start to show. And this is generally when you see the youngest go from being that weak and powerless scapegoat to being the truth-telling, cycle-breaking scapegoat if they make that choice. It's about 50-50. They could just go narcissistic or they could go break the cycle. And I'd be totally remiss if I didn't address the challenges that happen between older siblings and youngest siblings, especially if there's a big age gap. Because narcissistic families pit their children against each other, the eldest are taught to see the baby, who is the weakest, as also their biggest competition. And older siblings will watch that youngest sibling get age-appropriate cuddling, affection, emotion, treatment, toys, things like that, and they'll get jealous of it because they are at a different stage in their life and they are no longer getting those things, but they don't see it that way. All they see is someone getting the affection, the treatment that they believe that they were entitled to, which we'll talk about entitlement and elder children in my next video. So that essentially sets the youngest child up to be separated from their eldest siblings for the rest of their lives. They're seen as competition. They're seen as the one who got it all, when in truth, a lot of them have been emotional dumping grounds for everyone in the family for their entire lives and never treated like an equal. What do you think? Have you noticed this pattern before in the youngest sibling? Have you seen any of this being the youngest sibling in a narcissistic family, or any toxic family for that matter? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you follow for my next video in the series.